much. As always, we appreciate your support that you give all of our great fast track programs. So welcome, everyone. Welcome and good afternoon and good morning. I think we may still have some mornings. Thank you for joining me today for Your Parents Were Right. Never talk to a stranger. You know, the fact that you're here today speaks volumes about two things. One, you understand that sales is the art of communication, and that when you increase your ability to effectively communicate, your sales are going to naturally increase too. And you have a desire to change your current ways. Now, my intention in being with you during our time that we're going to spend together today is to create an experience that causes you to commit at the highest level to mastering language, allowing you to impact lives, and of course, close more transactions. Here's a little about me. My name is Moll, and in addition to being a partner and owner of a top real estate team in Chicago, I'm a market center investor. I'm a MAPS head coach. I've studied the brain and human behavior for years, and I've earned my master practitioner in neuro-linguistic programming. I'm an energy leadership coach through IPEC coaching certification, and I've done extensive work around emotional intelligence. I'm actually a neural performance coach, which means that I specialize in coaching leadership and agents and people to embrace and lean into being the highest version of themselves that they can be. Now, many elite athletes and corporate executives have performance coaches, and they know that their destiny begins and ends with their beliefs and their own self-talk. I also coach a little program that many of you are familiar with called Bold. So my goal for you today in this short workshop is for you to walk away from today with something you can immediately use. Like you can put it in practice today, and you see the value in committing to elevate your language skills by enrolling in the program. After all, we're learning a new language, and you don't just do that like that. Our time here today is going to be interactive. As part of the session, you're going to have access, obviously, to the meeting chat. You all know how to, by now, we know how to use the chat box, right? During the call, I may be asking you to focus and think. I may be asking you to share some things or write some things through the chat box. I'm going to ask you if you have a question, put it in the chat box, only because if you raise your hand, I can't necessarily see it because you're not all on my screen. So that's going to be the easiest way for me to answer questions. So I'm going to ask you to do one more thing. Now, that's to get uncomfortable, because we all know that's where growth happens. So let's go ahead and get started. By being here today, you're actually investing in yourself and in a program that MAPS offers. And frankly, I'm excited to work with you in an area that is truly, truly, truly a passion of mine. Whenever I prepare to get together with people like you in a setting like this, I reflect on some personal observations. And what I'm about to share comes from my thousands of hours of coaching calls and observing human behavior. And here's what I know. People complicate things. Would you agree with that? Just go ahead and nod your head, because we know that. And they create way more work than they need to, because they think, well, it can't be that simple. It has to be more complicated. Here's another thing I know. People believe that they have to push for a sale. Ooh, like nails on a chalkboard. You don't have to push. We don't have to push. They also think that they have to make someone else buy something, or they may have to make someone else sell something. Like just saying those words makes the hair stand up on my arms. And they think that things can't be that simple, because if that were true, everyone would be doing it. Well, we're going to dispel some of those things, observations today. And here's the great news. When you say the right thing in the right way, at the right time, well, conversations will naturally be easier, life will be easier, and people will easily move forward with great decisions and achieve their goals. And you'll be the one that was the catalyst for that. So let's agree to play all out. Let's have some fun today by focusing on how to connect instantly with everyone you meet. Because after all, again, your parents were right. Talking to a stranger can be scary. So first thing, let's talk about the definition of rapport. And it's there on the screen for you. Just listen to it as I say it. Rapport is created when two people have a good, synchronized, trusting, safe, and connected relationship in which they're able to understand each other's needs, ideas, and feelings. Did you hear the words push? Did you hear the words buy or sell in there? I didn't. I'm looking at the screen. I don't see them either. So in other words, when you're in good rapport with a person, they trust you and they do what you suggest. They don't hesitate to share information and they trust you as a person. One of the most consistent themes that Gary Keller talks about in his masterminds is how important it is that you build a community. Rapport helps you build that community. The goal of rapport is to cause clients to feel comfortable with you and your recommendations, right? We want them to feel comfortable with you. And it's also to take your career to the next level through relating to others easily. Another goal is to list and sell more homes in less time with less resistance. I mean, can I get a thumbs up for that? I mean, who wouldn't want that? And then lastly, it's to cause others to act and share because they can relate to and they can trust you. The ultimate goal is to live a better life because communication is just easier. Naturally, the fact that you decided to join us today illustrates your belief that possessing the ability to influence will also allow you to take your career to the next level. I mean, have you ever noticed that some people are just naturally, they just naturally have others listen to them and follow them at a higher level? Right. Those people who seemingly have never met a stranger. They seem to be instant best friends with everyone they meet. Does it seem like they're blessed with some sort of secret power? Like they're a Jedi and they have the Force, right? And they might say, I am the salesperson you're looking for, the sales professional you're looking for. I gave up trying to do a Yoda imitation years ago. It's just, it's not me. So think of that in your Yoda voice. I am the sales professional you're looking for. Yet it's not magic. It's not a superpower. Most likely those people knew a proven communication technique. They know how to communicate with people in a way that causes the listener to feel good about making decisions and be right about the action that they're taking. So let's do a quick exercise. On a blank sheet of paper, I want you to write down two things, and it could be anywhere. Write down how many strangers you bump into on a weekly basis, right? Pandemic's over, so we're out and about again. We're getting out. How many strangers do you bump into on a weekly basis? Go ahead and write that number down. I mean, think about this. Are you at the store? Are you in a building, are you in a high rise, whether it's your office or a different building, your neighborhood, the gas station, restaurants, kids' school or events, social media, everywhere you go and interact? How many strangers do you bump into on a weekly basis? So I trust you have a number written down. Now, follow me here as we go through the slide. How many people each week that you currently don't know? That's what we're talking about, right? So let's say this. Let's say on average, for our example, there's three people that we meet, that we could engage in a conversation with, that we don't on a weekly basis. And if we multiply that by 50 weeks, and why 50? You're probably going, this lady doesn't even know there's 52 weeks in a year. I'm going to presume you're on vacation a couple weeks. Okay. So we multiply that number by 50 weeks. You're going to get a number of opportunities. So if you run into one person a week, that's 50 opportunities. Two, it's 100. Three, it's 150. So whatever that number is that you wrote down, multiply it by 50. And that's your number of opportunities. So on the screen where I have 150 opportunities, yours is going to be whatever your number is. Now, I understand this, that you may be just learning and that you're not that great at purposefully playing the language of sales rapport building game yet. So let's say you have the 3 opportunities, which is 150. Now, let's say you're currently only connecting with 10%, which would equal 15 people who could be added to your database. These are the people who may buy a home, sell a home, or invest in real estate with you at some point. And let's presume that you convert your database at 10%. So if the 150 opportunities, we're only going to connect with 10% of them throughout the year, then we're going to put them in our database, and average agent's going to convert their database at 10% a year. So when we do that math, and remember, we have to round up because we're not doing fractional transactions. When you see on the screen 150 opportunities converted at a 10% connection rate and a 10% conversion rate gives us, it would be 1.5 that we're rounding up to 2, gives us 2 additional transactions from our database. So now multiply that number by your average commission. If you don't know your average commission, use 10,000, use the example on the screen. That would be $20,000 to you in potential commission just by doing what you're doing right now. So let's relook at this and let's look at the potential impact. Let's run another scenario here. Let's say that you take that same 3 people a week, 150 opportunities, and with your newfound language skills, you now convert additions to your database at a 50% return. So instead of only putting 15 people in our database, we've got 75 new connections in our database, right? And the 75 new people added just by working on some skills. So your 3 per week is 150 times the 50% is 75. And I'm going to keep doing this because people get lost on the math sometime. And if we take that and go, we're still going to convert at 10% because that's what Gary says is average. That's going to give us 7.5 or 8 transactions. 8 transactions or 6 additional over what we're doing right now. You take that 8 and multiply it by your average commission, and that's how much money? $80,000. So here's the thing. The difference between what you're netting on your current language skills and the language skills that you can choose to develop during our language of sales is what experts call your lost income potential. Now you know why it's important to focus on this call. So let's do one more thing. Just want to make this clear. Orlando, thank you. Ouch, right? You all have your number there. You all have your number. Not gonna make you type it out in the box because you all know your number. Want to make one thing clear. Using elevated language skills is not manipulation, because the definition of manipulation is exerting shrewd or devious influence, especially for one's own advantage. We're not asking you to use your language of sales skills to power the dark side. We're asking you to do it to help your clients reach their goals that they want. And what we just illustrated is we could probably be adding in a lot more clients to our database. So think about this. You must choose to become more effective in your language to make an impact on your listener and empower them, well, quite frankly, to take action with you. So, and when we enroll in language of sales, we're going to be coaching through how to better connect with people that causes them to actually take action instead of procrastinating, that causes them to choose you because you're a force for good and you want to help them get what they want. Can I just get a few yeses typed in the chat box so that I know you're still with me? Awesome. Then let's go ahead and proceed. We're going to learn a quick method today of instant rapport building that we get into deeper in the MAPS language of sales. So consider this. Even in today's fast-paced instant gratification world of texting and emailing and social media interaction, that you can still add a lot to your bottom line in making connections with people that you meet just living your normal life or at group activities like your kids' sports events or even open houses. The method I'm going to teach you works extremely well. And like most things in life, well, the more you use it, the better you are. And one more thing. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable when you do this, when you're first learning it, because it's going to feel awkward because you're not used to doing it. So it requires you to put aside your normal way of being, your automatic natural communication style that you've used your entire life, and it may feel unnatural at first, but be okay with that and be okay with being a little humbled by doing something different than you've always done. So think of it this way. What we're teaching are language techniques, communication techniques. The course is called MAPS Language of Sales because it's learning new language techniques and patterns and new ways to communicate, not doing the same old thing you've done. So think about the last time you learned a new language. Many of us, when we were in high school, had to take a language as a requirement, right? I don't know about you, but it took me a lot of repetition, practice, and focus to learn to become good at it. And I was willing to pay the price because for me, where I am right now is rarely where I'm satisfied being. Now, can I also tell you that after all those years, 4 years of Spanish in high school and 2 in college, a long time ago, and me not practicing it, guess what? I've lost those skills because I didn't practice. So here we go. You meet someone and you want to initiate a real estate conversation because this, your coach has told you this, that's what it takes to succeed, because isn't that our goal with everyone? How do we find more sales? Your goal is to connect with the person you meet in a way that they like, remember, and they feel connected with you about. If they're not ready to buy or sell at this moment, that's okay. You want to be able to give them your contact information, gather some of theirs, and get permission to keep in touch. So I'll start by telling you the what, and then we'll talk about the how. So instant rapport. We're going to build rapport by doing 3 things. I'm going to snap them all so they're all on the screen at the same time. The first is we're going to pay close attention to their model of the world, how they see things. Second, we're going to respect and connect with their model of the world. We're not going to make them wrong. We're going to just observe and understand that that's where they are. And then the third is we're going to follow them until rapport is built and then lead based on a strong connection. Okay, good. Got it? Perfect. I know it's kind of vague. It may sound confusing to some of you, and you'll understand in a few moments when I explain the how. So when you meet someone, instead of insisting that they like you for who you are, you're going to be like them. People relate to people like them. They like people like them. They trust people like them, and they remember and enjoy interaction with people like them. And you know what? They probably hire people like them to be their real estate agent. So guess what you're going to do? Go ahead and say it out loud. You're going to be like them. Exactly. So how would you like it if when you first met someone new, instead of reacting to you like a stranger, they felt right away that you were safe, or a friend, or someone they were intensely interested in getting to know? What if they loved and even repeated the conversation they had with you? What if the line you were standing in moved and they followed you into the parking lot where the communication continued? That's the goal of using these language techniques. Whether it's on the phone or in person or texting, we want to connect with people and have them love the conversations that we're sharing. So first, it's paying attention to their model of the world. You bump into someone in line and you make eye contact. You smile, you make a comment about something you observe, and you start a conversation with them. This actually happened to me about a year ago in the Austin airport coming back from mega leadership camp. I was standing in line to get on the plane, and I noticed that the lady next to me had these great shoes. And I mean, for what I do and being a bold coach, great shoes mean they look really comfy, right? She glanced at me and I said, "I love your shoes. Are they as comfortable as they look?" And she replied that they were. And in fact, they were perfect for work. Ding, 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 ding. So of course, I asked her what she did for work, which led to her asking, wait for it, you already know. Yes. What did I do? Through the 5-minute conversation, I found out what she did and that she was flying home to spend time with her mom, and that she mentioned her mom was seriously thinking of moving into an assisted living situation, and that she would probably need an agent that she could trust because she lived 1,000 miles away in Texas. Yep. Instant rapport was built because of a shared interest. It was a manufactured interest. Now, did I like her shoes? Absolutely. Just imagine, had I not said something, I would have lost out on that almost $600,000 sale that we eventually did 8 months later with that client. So instant rapport was built because of a shared interest or commonality. I met her where she was. And in addition to the database was add. Now, wait, now you may not connect on comfy shoes. However, there's always something to connect on. Find the something that and comment on it and make it a very neutral, safe conversation, opening comment with a question. Always open with a question. Now, stay with me here. When they respond, you intensely pay attention to the way they speak, their tone, their rate of speech, their body language, and especially their face. I know this is a lot. It's new. And remember, new language is not easy to learn. And you already understand that once you learn it, this kind of stuff, it's yours forever. So keep playing here. They respond to your comment. You're going to listen intently like they're the most interesting person on the planet, because at that moment, they are. You make observations and you commit to respect and connect with them based on their model of the world and the way they see and interpret things. And when they respond with were their eyes, you're going to watch, were their eyes twinkling as if they were speaking of the greatest joy of their life. I mean, get someone talking about grandkids. Yep. Or, their favorite cars or something. Or were they frowning as if they were in pain, just thinking about what you just discussed? Did they look off into space and give nonverbal cues to what feelings your comments elicited in them? You've observed their behavior and now you're going to follow their lead. This is part number 2. Respect and connect with them based on their being. Now you take on as much of their body language as possible. Are they slouching? Are they leaning? Are they leaning back? How are their feet positioned? Are they leaning forward? Are their arms crossed? Remember, you have observed their way of being, and now you're going to subtly going to follow as much of it as possible. You're going to then pick out something from your observation, something from the verbal and nonverbal cues, something from their bodily response, and put it all together in a response. And you're going to stay there with them in that conversation and being for as long as you have to until you feel connected to them. In the example I spoke of, the lady had a wheeled bag, the kind that you would use for a carry-on. And she also had a smaller bag or a purse resting on it. As she spoke, I casually slipped my bag off of my shoulder and off of my arm and onto my bag. And I was holding it with my 2 hands in front of me the same way she was. We were both holding our bags with 2 hands, and as they stood there right in front of us and we were having a conversation. I just matched her body language. At the same time, I was matching her tonality and rate of speech. You'll know you're connected because you're going to test the connection then. When you're in rapport, you follow and then you lead, which is step 3. You actually learn about others and how they're being and join them where they are in the world. And then when you're in rapport, you've got now permission to lead. So as the lady and I continued our conversation, I moved my feet. She actually moved her feet to match. Now, I believe it was unconscious. This continued to happen as I moved. She was now following. Wait until you see this work in real life. In fact, picture how you already do this. You've all done this before. You've seen a little child or you've been around a little child and they're emotional about something and you lower yourself down to where they are and you put a sad face on and you start with their tone, which is actually you getting into rapport with them. And then you start talking in a happier manner and let's go get ice cream and let's bring them out of it. And it's truly that easy. In 30 seconds to a minute, they're out of it. So right now you're having one of two reactions to what I've just shared here. Either your inner voice is saying, no way, never, they'll know, they'll catch me, I can't do it. Why would I? I'm smooth. People like me just the way I am, the way I'm being. I'm way too cool for this stuff. Or maybe your reaction was, oh, I can give it a go. After all, the world's greatest communicators use these methods. And as soon as you try it, you'll see how powerful it is. And you have to practice this over and over with everyone for it to start to internalize. This is when you will see that you're in rapport. They breathe a sigh, they lean in, they share, they connect, or maybe they ask you a question like, so how is the market? Of course, the goal is to connect with them and get them to do something right now, right? A right now lead, or to turn them into a database member who you'll part of your community who you'll stay connected with until they're ready to make a move or they know someone who is. The bottom line is that what you say is only a very, very small part of communication. It actually matters more that you connect, create rapport, and then when people hear someone like them, all of their defenses go away and they let you take the lead. Do you see how applying this technique can significantly increase your ability to connect with people at a deeper level? Of course you do. Of course you do. So let's look at some facts that become useful in communication. You're already sensing that with the shifting market, and I'm saying shifting, some say it's shifted. I'm going to say it's continually shifting. You must become more effective in your use of language, causing your listener to choose you, to work with you, to hire you, to join your team. Effective communication is the key. You get the point. You can continue to just connect with the limited number of people who communicate exactly like you do, or you can choose today to master your language skills, which will allow you to increase your closed transactions, your market share, right? Because in a shifting market, you take market share, you never give it away again. And the way we think about it, to get to more yeses, we want people to say yes in our presence. So the question is, would you like to learn more techniques that will make a massive difference? I mean, earlier, we calculated the price that you're currently paying for your current skill set and the potential lost business opportunity that your language skills are costing you. In the example, it was a difference between 20,000 and 80,000. And I sensed by some of the faces I saw that some of you have a lot more than $80,000. What was your number? Take a moment and just get really clear on the calls you didn't make this year because you weren't sure of what to say. How many of you are nailing your lead generation time and you're getting a lead for every 10 conversations and an appointment for every 20? How many of you have a listing you failed to get this year? Or maybe you have a buyer and the house just isn't available on the market and you're not quite sure how to find it. Or you don't know what to do to get more listings. Or maybe the buyer's torn between buying now and waiting, right? Instinctively, you are already beginning to understand the need to take advantage of the opportunity that we've got coming up to increase your sales and increase the number of people you help through the mastery of your language skills. I invite you to join me in our next session of MAPS Language of Sales. You can see on the screen. To register, it's mapslanguageofsales.com. We start the 24th, which is 3 weeks from today. Call is at the same time this is. Here's some cool things to remember. We are on live and yet they're recorded. So if you want to go back and listen to it 1, 2, 3 times that week, you can listen to it as many times as you want. Here's the other cool part. The recordings are available for 60 days after we complete the course. So you could literally take the class 2 or 3 more times to really practice your language skills. We have a great private Facebook group where we share our successes, we share our growth work, we find practice and role play partners. We share the funny stories about when we mess things up because it happens. And we share referrals as well. I mean, if you're going to refer someone, don't you want to refer someone who's also working on their skills? The investment in yourself is $150 a month for 2 months. There's 6 sessions, and intuitively, you know you're already paying a far greater price for the skills you haven't mastered. I mean, here's the other thing. As a participant, it's if you register today, we have the code WEB15. WEB15. That's the largest, it's the largest discount currently available. It's going to get you 15% off. So grab a friend, someone that you could practice with, and let's do language of scales together. I'm going to stay on for a few moments for anybody who might have some additional questions, whether it's about the material we talked about or whether it's about actually registering. If you'd like to talk, you can just take yourself off of mute, or you can use the raise hand feature, and we will stay for another minute or two. It is the bottom of the hour, and I thank you all for being here. And remember, your parents were right. Never talk to a stranger, and get into rapport with them and lead them to where they want to go. Thanks so much. Any questions, anyone? Oliver, any books on NLP? No. NLP is not a book. It is learned. You can, unless you're practicing it, there are lots of great places you can go to learn NLP, but the techniques, if you just read them, you've actually got to put them into experience and use for it to be actually learned. What other questions might anybody have? You can always reach out to me. My email is Kara, K-A-R-A @karamoll.com. Thanks so much for being here, and have a great one. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye-bye.